Today we are discussing the topics understanding mind and behavior and popular notions about the discipline of psychology. Understanding mind and behavior. We already learned that psychology is formally a science which deals with mental processes, experiences and behavior. And in mental processes we have brain and mind. And we already learned that brain activities and mental processes are different, they are not same. We also learned mind cannot exist without brain, but mind is a separate entity. We learned mind cannot exist without brain, but mind is a separate entity. So our point is brain and mind are different, but they exist together only. As we said earlier, in the case of brain, we can see it, we know its structure, we know its parts, we know how it functions, etc. But in the case of mind, we don't know anything, right? We don't know, we cannot see it, we don't know its structure, anything. So brain and mind are different. To prove this fact, what? Mind cannot exist without brain, but mind is a separate entity. To prove this fact, 3 examples are given in your textbook. Let us see to it. The first example, in some patients, occipital lobes were removed in brain surgery. What do you mean by occipital lobe? It is the part of the human brain responsible for interpreting information from eyes and turning it into the world as a person sees it. So this occipital lobe helps for vision. It helps for vision activity and it situates behind the brain. You can see here it situates behind the brain. So a person's occipital lobe which helps for vision is removed in a surgery. So a part of brain is removed in a surgery, and what should have happened? He must have lost his sight, but the brain or the brain is not getting the signals now. But what happened is the result was he responded correctly to location and configuration of visual cues. Means even after removing the occipital lobe which helps for the part helps for vision, he continues to he was able to locate things, or he was able to see, and he was able to configuration means he was able to identify the shape, the color or its size, etc. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that mind is still working even after the removing a part of brain or it is injured. Even after removing a part of brain, mind continues to work independently. Okay, let us move on to the next example, that is an athlete lost an arm in an accident. An athlete lost an arm in an accident. Suppose he lost his right arm. He lost his right arm, and he has habit of doing things or taking things with his right arm. But even after this incident, he continues to raise the same right arm which he lost. Okay, so here the brain still thinks that the right arm is still present there. The mind still thinks that the right arm is still present there. This is called phantom arm. This is called phantom arm. It is the feeling of sensations in an arm that has been removed. Feeling of sensation in an arm that has been removed. There will be feelings in the arm if it is as if it is still attached to their body. Okay, so in this case too, the brain is not getting the signals, but the mind is still working, and the mind still believes that the right arm is still present there. Okay, let us move on to the third example. A young man with brain injury after returning from hospital. A young man suffered from brain injury, he returned from hospital, he returned home. Then what he claimed is that his parents have been replaced by duplicates. That means he claimed that they are not their his original parents, they are their duplicates. So students, from these three examples we try to understand is mind works separately, and brain and mind are different, and even after there is a brain injury or a part of brain is removed, mind still continues to respond or work. Now let us move on to this sentence, that is mind and behavior are related. So the statement mind and behavior are related, by now you must have already understood that mind and behavior or responses are correlated. Our behavior depends on our mind. Our behavior depends on our mind. Next, we are going to learn an important point based on this theory. There is a term called mental imagery. What is mental imagery? Mental imagery, that is positive visualization. Positive visualization. In this, we give or we generate positive feelings in the mind. We generate positive feelings in the mind. That is, scientists have proved that with this positive visualization, one can bring out notable changes in their bodily processes. Okay, one can, with this positive visualization or generating positive feelings in the mind, one can bring out a notable change in their bodily processes. A person had a block in his arteries. Person had a block in his arteries, and then he was asked to imagine or visualize that blood is still flowing through his arteries. Blood is still flowing through his arteries, and after some days or after a period of time, positive changes started showing in his condition. The degree of blockage became significantly less. So he imagined that blood is flowing through his arteries. So through this positive visualization or imagine, he became completely alright. So with this, a new discipline called psychoneuroimmunology has been emerged. Psychoneuroimmunology. So psycho means mind, neuro is related to brain, and then immunology is our immune system, that is psychoneuroimmunology. So with this technique, they try to make beliefs in patients that they are or I am recovering or I am coming out of my illness. So they are bringing a belief in the patient's mind that I am recovering or I am getting alright. So when he imagined this or when he visualized this, positive feelings are generated within him, and then he is creating a mental imagery that he is completely alright, and thus he recovers. Okay, so let us conclude mind and behavior are related, and the way you visualize your mind is how you behave, and your behavior reflects on your body. We must have heard that if you think positive things will happen in your life, and if we think negative things will happen in your life. Now this is a common saying, we must have thought like that, but this is scientifically proven by the psychologists. So many have recovered with this from their mental illness and their physical illness. They recovered from their mental problems, etc. Okay, so this is all about mind and behavior. Now we are moving on to the next portion, that is popular notions about the discipline of psychology. Popular notions about the discipline of psychology. And what is notions? What do you mean by notions? Notions means beliefs. Okay, belief. So in this topic we are going to learn some popular beliefs about psychology among us. We all act like psychologists. It is not because that we learned psychology or we know some scientific theories in psychology. We try to understand people, and why they behaved so, and we also made some theories on human behavior, and all these things, we do all these things with our common sense. Okay. For example, we believe that if we push a worker, push in the sense if we motivate, okay, if we motivate a worker, he will perform better. So such theories are based on common sense, but common sense is not always true. For example, we believe that if we push someone, push a worker, push in the sense motivate, if we motivate a worker, he will perform better. Such theories are based on our common sense. Here we are going to discuss that psychological principles and common sense are different. So common sense may not be true, okay, common sense may not be true. It is based on hindsight. Common sense is based on hindsight. What is hindsight? Understanding a situation or event even after it has happened. Understanding a situation or event only after it has happened. That is called hindsight. So common senses are based on hindsight. For example, you are nervous to take an exam because you waited until the last moment to study. When you appear for the exam, you are really unsure about your results. However, you scored the grade B+. Then you exclaimed to your friends that I knew I would score. This is hindsight. Here you are declaring something that is already happened. Okay, you are not predicting it, you are declaring it that a thing that is already happened. But psychology actually predicts your behavior. It doesn't work on hindsight. Psychology never declares something that is already happened. So it tries to predict a behavior. Psychology looks for behavior that can be predicted. So psychology predict behavior which is going to happen based on some knowledge or principles. But common sense is based on hindsight. Common sense explains that a thing that is already happened. Now there is a lot of difference between common sense and psychology. Now another example for this, psychology predicts that you perform better in front of audience as opposed to the common belief that we perform better alone. So the common saying is that we can perform better alone because you are not hesitate or you are not nervous. So that is common sense. But what psychology says is through his principles and experiments that someone who is performing in front of an audience can perform much better than performing alone. So this is a small example which can tell you that a popular notion about psychology that it is on common sense is wrong. Okay. Plus there is another experiment conducted by Dweck. She tried to prove that common sense and the psychological principles are different. Here she took two groups of students. She took two groups. Then they were given some mathematical problems. Both the groups were given some mathematical problems. Now in common sense we say that if we give some simple problems or easy problems to someone, he will have the confidence to solve the difficult ones. This is common sense. So common sense works from simple to complex principle. Now in psychology it believes that even if you are given some difficult problems, it is your motivation or your effort that boosts your confidence. So in common sense it says that simple to complex principles. If we do simple problems, it will help to boost your confidence for doing difficult ones. But in psychology it says that even if you are given some difficult problems, it is your motivation or effort that help you to boost the confidence. So, in this experiment, there are two groups, group 1 and group 2. For group 1, the first step was she has given some mathematical problems, easy mathematical problems. For group 1, she gave easy mathematical problems, whereas for group 2, she gave both easy and difficult mathematical problems. For group 1, it was easy to solve. Okay, they could easily solve the problems, and it boosted their confidence. Okay, but in the case of group 2, they could solve only the easy ones. They couldn't solve the difficult problems. But what Dweck said here is, they were told that their failure was because they had not tried hard. They had not tried hard enough, and they persuaded them not to give up and keep trying. So, Dweck here motivated them or persuaded them and not to give up very easily. He asked them to try hard again and again. Okay. So, that is it. And after 25 days of training, the training was of 25 days. So, after 25 days of training, again a set of math problems are given to both the groups, which are a mix of both easy and difficult problems. This time she has given for both the groups easy and difficult problems. And what was the result? For group 1, they gave up easily when they faced with the difficult problems. Why? Because they have practice of doing only the easy problems. They were not practiced of doing complex problems or difficult problems. So, they gave up very easily. So, we concluded here that common sense is wrong. So, this proceeding from simple to complex, that belief is wrong. Which will common sense says proceed from simple to complex and it leads to success. So, here we proved that common sense is wrong. Okay. And in the case of group 2, they were given both easy and difficult problems. Okay, both were given both easy and difficult problems, and they were under some psychological principles, and they were not easily disappointed and wanted to try hard. They have a practice of it, so they were not given up easily. They continued to try to do the difficult problems also. So, what is the conclusion here? Actually, this common sense says is not always true, and some things are better, may be reasoned or concluded under psychological principles. And this is how Dweck proved that common sense and psychological principles are different. Thank you.